Welcome back to the channel USA Coins 69, unstoppable treasure hunters and devoted coin fans, to the channel where the tiniest pieces of pocket change carry the power to tell unforgettable stories and uncover unbelievable fortunes. Today we are stepping back into the year 1951, a post-war America bubbling with optimism, booming industries, and a silent copper coin making its way through countless pockets and purses. We're talking about the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny with mint mark, a humble copper coin so famous and yet so often overlooked that most people never realize they could be holding a fortune between their fingertips. But when you understand the history behind it, recognize the special mint marks, and know what rare traits to look out for, you'll never look at a simple penny the same way again. Let's begin by honoring the powerful design. On the obverse is the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of strength and unity designed in 1909 to mark his 100th birthday. Above his head stands the phrase "In God We Trust," while prominently to his left sits the mighty word liberty. To the right is the date 1951, a reminder of a decade when America was growing fast and families all across the nation were filling coin jars, paying for newspapers, soda fountains, and train rides with these very pennies. But there's one more critical detail with the potential to turn your penny into a jackpot. Look closely beneath the date to find a tiny mint mark such as D or S. That little letter reveals where the coin was produced, Denver or San Francisco, and this tiny detail dramatically changes the rarity and desirability among serious collectors. Now flip the coin over and admire why collectors call it the Wheat Penny. Two elegant wheat stalks rise in graceful curves around the words 1 cent and United States of America, proud symbols of Midwest agriculture, abundance, and American spirit. Above the design, the motto E pluribus unum, from many, one, captures the unity of a post-war nation coming together as one unstoppable force. Pennies like these jingled through endless hands across butcher shops, barber shops, and baseball stadiums. Yet the vast majority ended up scratched, worn smooth, and dull with age. That's why collectors prize not only the tiny mint mark, but also the condition, something called mint state, where the coin still keeps its fiery original copper color, razor-sharp details, and unblemished surfaces as if it just left the mint yesterday. While the United States struck millions of these coins in 1951, very few remain today in pristine untouched condition. And even fewer have survived with strong mint marks and eye-popping color grades known as red and red-brown. Collectors are also constantly watching for thrilling minting varieties and errors, pieces where the mint mark was accidentally punched twice, repunched mint mark, or where the die shifted slightly to create a double die effect on the date or lettering, or where the coin's planchet was imperfect leading to an off-center strike. Far from being defective, these anomalies send shockwaves of excitement through coin markets, turning a simple penny into a one-of-a-kind treasure. Each new discovery sparks fierce bidding wars as collectors race to add these rare birds to their prestigious displays. The hunt for the 1951 mint mark Wheat Penny has become legendary. People have discovered rare specimens by going through old mason jars found in attics, by dusting off coin albums inherited from grandparents, or by buying rolls of loose pennies from banks and searching one by one under magnifying glass. What sets the true winners apart is patience and knowledge, the willingness to inspect every coin under bright light, pick out crisp lettering, bold wheat stalks, and above all, that little mint mark which can magically change everything. The thrill of seeing that tiny D or S shimmering under a flawless copper glow can send any treasure hunter's pulse sky high. In recent years, fewer and fewer high-grade examples have been coming to market, and collectors know the supply is drying up. That's why the value of these historic cents has exploded as more and more people enter the hobby. Dealers and auction houses are now paying incredible sums for top-condition 1951 pennies with mint marks, recognizing how rare it is to find one that looks as fresh today as it did more than 70 years ago when it rolled off the coin press. And somewhere out there, maybe hiding in your house or buried in your change collection, could be one of these undiscovered beauties waiting to be recognized. So before you spend your change, take a pause. Grab a magnifier, inspect that Lincoln penny with care, and look for the powerful combination of a clear date, sharp wheat ears, full copper brightness, and of course a rock-solid mint mark. Because some of the rarest coins in American history are not gold doubloons or silver dollars, they are humble little wheat pennies no bigger than your thumbnail. Today, we're journeying all the way back to the year 1939, a time when the United States was pulling itself out of the Great Depression, the world was on the brink of massive change, and in the pockets of farmers, factory workers, and schoolchildren jingled one of the most beloved coins in American history, the 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny with mint mark. Most people who spent this coin never imagined it would be more than a simple penny, but fast forward over 80 years and collectors across the globe are now searching feverishly for surviving examples because these little copper wheat pennies, especially those bearing a mint mark, have become stunningly valuable when found in top condition. Let's begin with the artwork that has fascinated numismatists for more than a century. On the front of the 1939 penny stands the stately image of President Abraham Lincoln, thoughtfully sculpted with remarkable detail by Victor David Brenner in honor of the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. You'll see the famous words "I and God we trust" arching proudly above Lincoln's head, with liberty boldly resting at his left shoulder and the year 1939 deeply stamped to his right. That is where your journey begins. Just look a little closer, because below the date may appear a tiny letter such as D or S, which indicates the mint where this coin began its life, Denver or San Francisco. That small mint mark isn't just a letter, it's a symbol of scarcity and incredible collecting value, the secret code that can turn a true treasure into a jaw-dropping jackpot. Flip the coin over and witness a beautiful, time-honored design, two sleek stalks of wheat curving upward on either side of the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above those words is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, a message of unity as powerful today as it was during Lincoln's time. This elegant wheat-ear backing is why collectors lovingly refer to these coins as wheat pennies. While millions of them were released into circulation, the vast majority were handled roughly and worn down during everyday use as they bought newspapers, fruit, candy, and gasoline. The years took their toll. Most 1939 wheat pennies are now dull, scratched, and worn. But a rare few escaped circulation unscathed, preserved with full bright copper luster, sharp edges, and pristine detail. Finding a 1939 mint mark wheat penny in such condition is every collector's dream. The magic lies not only in preservation, but also in unusual minting varieties and errors associated with these coins. You might find slight doubling on the date or lettering, known as a double die, or mint marks that were punched more than once, creating a shadowed or bold look. Some pennies struck that year even reflect subtle planchet flaws left behind during wartime metal shortages, making them curiously unique. These minting anomalies, far from being flaws, are embraced by serious collectors as one-of-a-kind rarities that add monumental value. The challenge, however, is recognizing these traits, and that's where patience and a good magnifying glass become your best friends. Examining a 1939 wheat penny with mint mark requires a sharp eye. Under bright light, look for intense copper-red shine, crisp lines in Lincoln's hair and beard, clearly readable lettering, and a mint mark that's sharp, well-formed, and free of smudges. Because so many pennies from this year were heavily used or went missing during metal drives of World War II, very few remain in mint state condition, making them incredibly scarce. Each year that passes shrinks this population further as high-grade pieces vanish into private collections. That, of course, only intensifies the excitement for modern-day hunters hoping to find the next miracle in a forgotten jar of pennies or an inherited family collection. This is why collectors are constantly searching garages, attics, and estate sales, buying rolls of old wheat pennies from auctions and banks, and combing through piles of change saved by grandparents decades ago. One moment you're sifting through pennies expecting nothing, and suddenly, you see a blazing red coin dated 1939 with a tiny D or S below it, looking almost as fresh as the day it was minted. Your heart skips a beat because you know you may be holding a coin that only surfaces once in a generation, the kind of legendary piece that doesn't merely belong in a collection but becomes the crown jewel of it. So the next time you spot an old penny lying forgotten at the bottom of a drawer, under the car seat, or pressed between the pages of an old book, don't pass over it. Inspect that date carefully, 1939. Search for that tiny mint mark just beneath it. Study the shine, the lines, the texture. Today we journey back to the year 1957, a time when Elvis Presley ruled the radio, classic cars cruised Main Street, and America pulsed with post-war prosperity, to uncover the extraordinary secrets of a copper coin so common people rarely glance at it twice, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny with mint mark. Though millions of these pennies once passed unnoticed through the hands of shopkeepers, schoolchildren, and factory workers, a rare handful survive today in pristine form, and if you're sharp enough to know what to look for, one of these tiny wheat pennies could reward you with far more than its face value. In fact, when preserved in stunning condition and bearing the right mint mark, this 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny might be worth a jaw-dropping fortune. Take a closer look at the front of this legendary coin and you'll see the bold face of Abraham Lincoln, captured with careful artistry by Victor David Brenner, a portrait that became the first U.S. coin to feature an actual historical figure instead of a traditional symbol. Above his head arcs the proud motto "In God We Trust." To his left sits liberty, echoing the ideals he defended, while to his right gleams the all-important year 1957. But don't stop there, lean in and focus on the small letter nestled just below that year, perhaps a tiny D for Denver or S for San Francisco. That little mint mark can make all the difference for collectors, because certain mint-marked wheat pennies from 1957 were struck in small numbers or preserved with exceptional sharpness. That one letter is your ticket into the world of rare numismatics and explosive coin values. Flip the coin over and admire the design that gave this treasure its nickname. Two curved stalks of wheat frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above that is the phrase E pluribus unum, from many, one, a perfect reflection of the American spirit in the booming 1950s. Though millions of wheat pennies were minted, most were used, abused, tossed into coins jars, rubbed nearly smooth in circulation, or lost during everyday life. Yet a very small number escaped that fate. Perhaps carefully saved by a collector in a roll, wrapped away by a soldier, or forgotten in a safe deposit box, these few 1957 mint-marked pennies remain as dazzling today as the moment they left the mint. When these rare survivors still flash their full red luster, crisp lines along Lincoln's jaw, and strong wheat stalk designs on the reverse, they become absolute treasures of American history. Collectors don't just seek ordinary examples though, they scan carefully for dramatic minting varieties and errors. Some 1957 wheat pennies display double-die anomalies where the date or lettering appears faintly doubled, a rare accident that instantly rockets the coin's desirability. Others show repunched mint marks where the tiny letter was accidentally struck more than once, creating a shadow effect that excites seasoned collectors. There are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and misaligned dies, all quirky mistakes that transform a simple penny into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece worth serious money. These details are small but powerful. That's why collectors pore over these coins under magnifying glasses and bright lamps, hunting for secrets invisible to the casual eye. What makes the search so exhilarating is that some of the most valuable 1957 wheat pennies are still sitting unnoticed in everyday places: jars stashed by grandparents, dusty cigar boxes tucked in closets, old purses hanging in attic rafters, and forgotten change drawers across America. And when a high-grade wheat penny from 1957 bearing a mint mark is discovered, especially one blazing with original copper color and flawless surfaces, it doesn't just fetch a good price, it can bring in an absolute fortune. Auction houses have witnessed bidding wars erupt over such coins as collectors recognize that survivors of this quality are vanishingly scarce. As more are locked away in private collections, the supply dwindles and their value soars higher. So before you dismiss your next handful of pennies as ordinary change, stop and inspect them closely. Look at the date, 1957, then scan for that tiny mint mark below it. Do the wheat stalks on the reverse remain sharp? Does the surface still burn with red copper brilliance? Are the letters crisp and untouched by circulation? If all those answers are yes, then you just might be the lucky one holding a spectacular treasure that numismatists dream of finding. Today we're stepping back into the heart of the 1950s, a golden era of soda fountains, drive-in movies, and booming American optimism, to uncover the incredible secrets surrounding one special copper coin, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1953 with mint mark. At first glance it may look like any other old penny, something you might walk past on the sidewalk or find mixed in with spare change. But wise collectors know this humble 1-cent piece can transform into a treasured rarity when preserved in the right condition and stamped with that tiny mint mark, lifting its value into a realm you would rarely expect from such a small coin. Gaze at the obverse, the front, and you'll see the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln, etched in brilliant relief by Victor David Brenner. This design, first introduced in 1909, marked the first time a real person appeared on a U.S. coin, and his image became a symbol of wisdom, honesty, and American unity. Above Lincoln's head, the words "In God We Trust" curve confidently, to his left glows the bold word liberty, and to his right rests the all-important year 1953. Look carefully just beneath this date, because that's where the magic lies. You might spot a small mint mark such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco. That tiny letter is the key to numismatic treasure, because mint-marked wheat pennies of 1953, especially in top-grade condition, are far scarcer than people realize. Turn the coin over in your hand and you'll experience one of the most beloved designs in American coin history, two arching wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above sits the motto E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, echoing the nation's spirit in the prosperous years following World War II. While millions of these coins were made for use in everyday life, to buy bubble gum, comic books, gasoline, and movie tickets, the overwhelming majority were spent, scratched, worn, and dulled across countless transactions. By now their smooth surfaces and rounded edges tell the story of how hard they've worked. But just a few escaped into coin collections, bank vaults, sealed rolls, and forgotten keepsake tins where they remained untouched for decades, retaining their fiery copper-red shine and crisp original detail. That is exactly what makes the finest 1953 mint-marked wheat pennies so astonishing today. Collectors are obsessed not just because of the age, but also because of rare mint varieties and errors. Some 1953 pennies display doubled letters or doubled dates, known as double dies, while others exhibit repunched mint marks where the D or S was struck more than once by accident. Occasionally, you'll even find a coin struck slightly off-center, resulting in a visual misalignment that makes it completely unique. Far from ruining the coin's value, these quirks send it soaring sky-high, especially when combined with mint state condition, the prized state where coins show no wear at all, as though they were frozen in time the moment they left the mint presses. Sharp rims, bold wheat ears, full red color, and a perfect mint mark are the traits that spark excitement in collectors across America. The adventure lies in the hunt. These precious 1953 mint-marked wheat pennies often appear where people would never expect them, in dusty coffee cans hiding in old garages, in coin jars buried in closets, in estates passed down from grandparents who faithfully saved pennies for decades. Smart treasure hunters search everywhere they can: flea markets, garage sales, antique trunks, local coin shows, and even rolls of pennies from the bank. They hold each one up to the light, searching patiently for that blazing copper glow, strong strike, and tiny mint mark that proves they have discovered something truly special. When one of these coins faces professional grading and is declared in top mint state condition, its value explodes on the open market, leading to breathtaking auction prices as collectors compete to claim the rarest of them all before they vanish into private collections, sometimes never to be seen again. So the next time you encounter a wheat penny dated 1953, don't treat it as a simple copper coin. Turn it over gently. Inspect the wheats for sharp definition. Tilt it back and forth under a bright light. Does the surface flash with original luster? Does the tiny mint mark below the date look crisp and bold? These subtle signs might be telling you that you're not just holding a penny, you're holding an opportunity that could change everything. Today's adventure takes us back into the heart of the 1950s, a booming era of jukeboxes, classic diners, and the rise of suburbia, as we uncover the surprising secrets of one extremely special copper coin, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny minted in 1954 with mint mark. While most people would overlook this penny as a simple piece of pocket change, collectors know that certain examples from this year, especially those struck with mint marks and preserved in pristine condition, can be worth an absolute fortune. So tighten your grip and pay close attention, because after today you'll never look at a wheat penny the same way again. On the obverse, the front of the coin, you are greeted by the timeless portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, deeply etched with dignity and care by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Above him rests the bold motto, "In God We Trust," standing strong through the decades with unwavering American pride. To the left flashes the word liberty, while the year 1954 stands firm on the right, beautifully representing a moment in time when American families were buying homes, raising children, and filling jars with pennies just like these after every grocery store visit. But the real treasure lies just beneath that date. Look closely and you may spot a tiny letter such as D or S telling you where it was minted, Denver or San Francisco, and this little mint mark is the powerful secret that can transform your penny from common to legendary. Turn this copper beauty over and you'll see why collectors call it the wheat penny. Two graceful stalks of wheat curve like wings around the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above them arches the national motto E pluribus unum, symbolizing unity from many. The wheat design, used between 1909 and 1958, is beloved by collectors as a symbol of American growth and resilience. When these coins were minted in 1954, they were meant to serve ordinary life, often enduring years of heavy circulation inside pockets, cash registers, and cookie jars. Most became worn and dull over time, the wheat ears flattened, the color darkened, the edges softened. Yet deep in forgotten coin collections and buried treasure boxes are rare survivors, 1954 wheat pennies with mint mark that remain in exceptional, mint state, condition, blazing with their original reddish copper luster, sharp edges, and striking details untouched by circulation. What sets these 1954 pennies apart isn't just their history or crisp condition, it's also the possibility of rare minting varieties and errors. Some carry double dies, making dates or lettering appear faintly doubled under magnification. Others feature repunched mint marks where the tiny D or S looks stamped multiple times by mistake. These anomalies aren't defects, they're the very traits collectors prize most, turning simple pennies into unique works of art. A wheat penny from 1954 that glows with fresh mint color, displays a distinctive mint mark, and carries a crisp, error-rich detail becomes a golden target in the numismatic world, and values skyrocket dramatically as collectors compete to secure these scarce treasures. The thrill of discovery drives thousands of coin hunters to search tirelessly through old rolls, bank bags, flea market finds, estate sales, antique shops, and inherited stashes stored by grandparents long ago. Often, stories of life-changing discoveries begin with someone casually inspecting a jar of pennies found in an attic or under a bed, spotting a beautiful 1954 D or 1954 S wheat penny staring back at them, bright and bold as though minted yesterday. Once certified by grading services and declared in true uncirculated condition, such a coin can instantly become the star of an auction, sparking furious bidding wars as elite collectors scramble to own one of the finest surviving examples. The supply will only shrink over time, making each discovery worth even more. So next time you come across a wheat penny, take an extra moment. Peer closely at that date. Search for the mint mark beneath it with a magnifying glass. See if the copper surface still shines like a new sunrise rather than the dull brown of heavy wear. Inspect the wheat stalks for sharp lines and the lettering for bold edges. Treat each 1954 penny as though it might be the one, because somewhere out there, perhaps in your own jar of old coins, in your grandfather's collection, or even mixed within a roll from your local bank, could be a rare treasure hiding in plain sight. Now imagine the pulse-racing thrill when you realize that the 1954 United States of America 1 cent Lincoln wheat penny you're holding, gleaming with mint luster and proudly stamped with its tiny mint mark, is not merely a forgotten copper coin, but a magnificent collectible worth an astonishing $90,000.